What's up, everybody, and welcome back to what is going to be a fruitful episode, if you will. But before we dive into those details, quick shameless self plug here. All this information comes from my new book right here called Beneath the Surface, which I will link to down below. And yeah, if you're watching this video, I can promise you will like the book. It's the inside story of how Microsoft built the Surface brand, and there's all sorts of good facts and inside information that has never been told about how they went from a $900 million write down to $4.6 billion in revenue last fiscal year. But here we are talking about what's coming in 2019 and candidly a little bit in 2020. And no, it's not clickbait. I don't think many people accuse me of that because I try not to. But yeah, so I've got a pretty good understanding of what's coming. So let's just kick things off here. In the spring, now granted, before I even make any step forward, typically I don't write and publish this stuff until I'm absolutely confident about when something is going to happen and I know all the details are locked down and signed off and in production. But because the book is now out and the book talks about things that are sometimes over a year away, obviously things can, will, and often do change. Building hardware is hard. That is kind of the theme of the book. And yeah, so here we go. So just know that all this may change, could get canceled because we are pretty far out. That being said, if Microsoft holds a spring event this year, they're working on some sort of new ambient Surface device. This is probably the most ambiguous or aloof details I have, but it's supposed to be a device that works with your phone. It's supposed to help easier with like text navigation or something interacting with your phone. I don't fully know what it is, but it's an ambient Surface based device, and we'll see what they have. That's kind of the outlier of all this information. Surface laptop, this thing right here. Surface laptop. Oh, I keep forgetting I have a scratch on this lens. Surface laptop is expected to be updated in Q4 of 2019 with USB Type-C and possibly thinner bezels and all that good stuff, but definitely Type-C, and that is for Q4. Surface Book, if you will. Surface Book. This is a Surface Book 2, by the way. Not expected to be updated all that soon. If it's going to get updated next year, it's going to be late in 2019. I believe they're working on an all-new design for the Surface Book. Thinner bezel, thinner gap, thinner updated hinge design, USB Type-C. Everything's getting USB Type-C next year. So look for that in late Q4, possibly early Q1. The bigger updates are coming actually to this thing back here. So this is the Surface Studio, and this is not going to be updated in 2019. What Microsoft is doing here, and I am a big fan of this, is in 2020 they're going to release a new Surface Studio that incorporates, I've got the image of it here, the new modular compute design. Now, if this looks somewhat familiar, and it should, this is from the Surface Hub 2 that is going to be released in 2019. Basically, that thing just kind of slides into the back of a monitor, and it has all the compute and horsepower that you would ever need. And if you need to upgrade it, you just slide it on out, and there you go. Then you have an updated machine. And I love this because we've all wanted a Surface monitor. I've wanted a Surface monitor, but they're prohibitively expensive. So the idea here is that you can go buy this thing, the compute module slides into the back, and then in 2 years, when you need to update it, you just slide that thing out and slide a new compute unit in with new graphics cards and all that good stuff. I love this because monitors typically long outlast processors, right? You typically update a computer because it's slow, not because your monitor is going bad or whatever. And so this is going to shake up the all-in-one type design because typically you buy an all-in-one and we know that they're notoriously hard to update. Sometimes you can do the RAM, maybe the hard drive if you're lucky. Definitely never can rip out the CPU and replace it unless you're very ambitious. But for the vast majority, you can't do that. Microsoft will shake that up with the next generation Surface Studio coming in 2020. So we've got that going on. And then the device that started it all, that started my book, the Surface Pro, will be updated in Q4 of 2019. Now, they're going to do thinner bezels. I believe they're going to have an updated type cover, USB Type-C as everything else. Also, there's going to be new color options. I bet we start to see the burgundy and cobalt colors. Maybe they'll have something new, a new color palette coming. And then the other thing that everyone has been wondering about, Andromeda. Okay, so Andromeda is kind of growing up. I talked about this a little bit early on other podcasts earlier in the year, and here's what I'm understanding. So Andromeda was envisioned to be like this pocketable, foldable device. That is not what Microsoft is working on anymore. They're working on a larger foldable device. I don't think it's going to be designed to go in your pocket. I've heard that it has grown up. If you go look at Intel's Tiger Rapids, yeah, go look at that prototype, and you should have a pretty good idea of that is what Microsoft is working on. And so the question becomes, is it going to launch? It's currently targeted for Q4 of 2019. Granted, they are not going to ship this thing until they feel like they have a very solid reason for it to exist. Now, I've heard that many people think that this is a good vision of what the future computer will be like, and so they may look at this as an aspirational piece of hardware. But yeah, so keep that in mind that it may not ship, but go look at the Tiger Rapids. That should give you a rough idea of what they're working on. Obviously, they're going to have their own unique twist, their own Surface ability. One other thing I forgot, I can't believe I did this, on the Surface laptop, so coming in Q4, they're exploring using AMD, by the way. Keep that in mind. It may not be an all AMD lineup, maybe it just be one or two models, but Microsoft is exploring using AMD. No word on if they will, but they're at least giving Team Red a good solid look, because currently up until this point they've only been Intel. And so, guys, that is kind of the crux of what Microsoft is launching for the next year. No big surprises. Maybe the ambient device will be a big surprise, or possibly the folding device, but we've seen so many patents. Updates to a Surface laptop, not a huge surprise. Update to a Surface Pro, they're cash cows. Not a big surprise there. Surface Book, maybe a little bit, because it potentially might be later than some people are expecting. But the big one to me is still the Surface Studio update. I am going to be holding out for that, just because I'm going to be very curious to see how well this modular compute design works, because I've wanted a Surface monitor for a very, very long time. And so, guys, if you like this information, I'd love it if you'd take a look at the book. Physical and print versions available. And have yourselves a wonderful day, and thanks for tuning in. Smash that subscribe button and do all that other crap that YouTubers always talk about. Have a good one.